Listín Diario Editorial for July 8th of 2024. Esteemed Code. The draft new penal code, hastily approved by the Senate and pending a vote in the Chamber of Deputies, has fallen like a bomb on Dominican society. It has divided it into two fronts, one of partial support and the other of broad rejection of several of its provisions, which makes it a controversial piece. Even entities of the same government whose senators raised their hands to approve it have disagreed with its content. The Cabinet for Children and Adolescents, the National Council for Children and Adolescents CONANI, Plan Internacional, and the Ministry of Women have said that some of its articles represent a setback in the protection of human rights. The Ghana and CONANI point out that several of them violate Law 136-03, the Minor Code, and Law 2497 on domestic violence, as well as international commitments assumed by the country in the Convention of the Rights of the Child. The exclusion of rape and incest among imprescriptible crimes and the permissiveness under the pretext of correction and discipline of children are alarming examples of these concerns. Plan Internacional warns that the provisions of the project could increase the lack of protection of women, children, and adolescents, normalizing abuse and perpetuating harmful cultural practices. Likewise, the Ministry of Women highlights that although there are advances such as the classification of feminicide, aggravating factors in cases of harassment and violence against women are eliminated, which makes it difficult to impose proportional sanctions. Dominican society cannot afford legislation that, instead of advancing in the protection of human rights, goes backwards and leaves the most vulnerable sectors without protection. The development of a penal code is a task of utmost importance that requires broad social consensus and exhaustive deliberation. We call on deputies not to rush the approval of this project without due corrections. Hurry cannot supplant reason. The country has been discussing this reform for 20 years, but we cannot allow such a transcendent code to be steamed. A penal code duly agreed and aligned with human rights principles and international regulations is essential to building a more just and equitable society. Listín Diario urges deputies to act responsibly and seek a broad consensus that reflects the country's commitment to human rights and justice. For Listín Diario, voiceover and translations by Indira Rodriguez.